guiding your next pop culture journey. This is In Quest of Geek.
The tavern is always the beginning of a quest. It's where the team can come together to focus on introduction, speculation, and adventure. It's your chance to learn about your favorite fandoms or discover something new. This is our tavern team.
With you in the tavern will be
Alix Catherine, your host and professional moderator.
Nathan, nerd analyst and examiner.
Cole, your personal geek color commentator.
So pull up your personal character sheet and get ready to level up because we're here to build better character.
Welcome to the Tavern team. Grab a chair and join the crew. Tonight's quest, we have Justice League, the Snyder Cut. We should probably talk about why we're a Tavern team.
Should. I mean, it's the first one. It's issue 1.
It is. That's right.
And
So,
who this random person is.
The person who does my job better than myself. Alex, being our leader, you do the honors, or we're gonna make him do it by himself?
I can do the honors. This is Nathan.
Very easy, very honorable. I'll take it. I was kind of hoping for a fanfare. I'm pretty sure in post we're gonna throw some remix music, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
Nathan. Absolutely.
Do you know
I
what's
like it.
funny? That I was picturing more like the old school, like bow, 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 bow.
Oh yeah. No, that's better.
Oh.
Yeah. That's more after my heart. That's right. It had to be really like sad, one lone like trumpet.
Now, for those of you that don't know or have been listening to us for a while, and you might be a little confused on what's going on, we realized that we had very specific goals and things that we wanted to talk about, and they weren't really combining the way we were hoping they would. So, to make sure we got the best of both worlds, we actually split up the show into 2 sections: Tavern Team and Dungeon Dive. And this way we can go back to really focusing on that beginner intro stuff and also have those deeper conversations that need to be had. And to do that, we brought on Nathan as our third host.
How you doing? Oh, thank you, Evie, for that little intro I heard in the background. I appreciate that.
She's
Dogs
very
love me,
excited
and
to
it's
be here.
important.
She loves you.
I'm super excited about this because since we'll be able to really dive in even more, the conversations that JPG and Alex are gonna have are gonna be so much deeper. And I believe you guys are gonna have guests for Dungeon Dive, right?
Correct. We actually already recorded last night with our very first guest. So even though this episode will come out first, that one's already been recorded with Andrew Lindy from the Nothing New podcast.
And both shows will be covering the
Fine, John.
same topic every week. So depending on what kind of level of nerd you are or what level of topic conversation you want to have, depends on what show will be perfect for you.
Yeah, and if you listen to the Tavern Team and you find that you want to know more or dive a little deeper into the topic, that's where Dungeon Dive comes in. And if you've already done the basics and you're ready to jump straight to advance, Dungeon Dive is there for you.
So what you're saying is it's a finely made suit of armor for each person that comes in. What do they want? They want speed, agility. We got you covered. Do you want defense? Be a tank. We got you covered there. We can be a rogue and we can strike from the shadows, which I think we all like to do. So yeah, I'm liking this myself.
Nathan, I have to be honest. I was going to turn around and ask you to kind of share your geek cred a little bit or your nerd cred so people could get to know you a little better since they've been listening to Cole and me for forever. But I feel like you already just proved yourself.
Yeah, he's the lurker from the shadows.
I often out myself as a geek, accidentally, never on purpose. Always at awkward times, but this time it was on purpose because you are my people. You're my captain, showing me a way to be as geeky as I want me to be, man. Oh my god.
And we're happy to have you here. And you're also a writer.
I have written 3 comic books with a 4th one in the works. Yeah, they all the way to printed. I printed myself, and called The Shrouded City. So I'm doing a little pitch right now, not pitch, but so much a little plug. If you want to find it, little plug for you. A little bit. It's Lethal Weapon meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's how I describe the Shrouded City. If that sounds at all interesting to you, then you know how my brain works. Because yeah,
Nathan, now that you're part of the Inquested Geek team, doing Tavern team, I expect Alex and I to appear in this comic book.
It's a
oh
requirement.
well, okay, okay, I'll need some permission. And there's a lot of paperwork coming your way, so I
Oh,
gotta make
okay.
sure I got it. It's all
I mean,
loud. I can
even
use
if
your appearance in any way I wish to, Cole. In any way I wish to.
I, I'm nervous about
Just
what you
say
mean by
yes.
that, but at
Just
the same
sign
time,
yes on
I'm
it.
going to say yeah. I'm going to
Okay.
sign it away for you. Absolutely.
I
I
mean,
am so
Good.
excited.
if my character doesn't get to like murder or torture or punish Cole in some way, I'm gonna be so
Oh,
disappointed.
no. Why was go to? I wanted to see what Nathan was going to do, and then you were
Oh,
Did
like,
you.
you
I
hear
want
that
to.
in his voice?
It was gonna be. All I know is gonna be tasteful. Only tasteful nudity. Is all
I
I ever have of
see.
my characters.
That's what I
So
expected, Alex.
yeah,
You're talking about mutilation.
yeah. Well, I mean, you can be naked while getting mutilated. So I mean, like, this is
Oh,
best of both worlds.
but tastefully.
But tasteful,
Tastefully.
tasteful. I don't like to just, it's not supposed to be, torture porn, nothing like that. This is just straight, tasteful shot to the crotch.
But we don't kink shame, so if that's your thing,
Yeah. Well, already have a 3-part special for this. It's coming in my head. I like it. It's gonna be a gold mine.
I feel like we should switch to Justice League before
Yes, we should.
serious.
Yes, we probably should, because this will go down a dark path.
So since this is Justice League, specifically Snyder's cut, would one of you like to explain what that means if people don't know?
Absolutely.
Cool. Which of us are? Is there Rochambeau for this? What's the
Oh.
usual?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Have we created something? Should I have a 20-sided dice algorithm and just
I
roll that?
I would not trust you.
Okay, fair. Oh, fair. That is very smart.
Your
Incredibly
go to was rogue who attacks from the shadows. You're going to win every time.
I'll let Cole go ahead and start the explanation, and
Yeah,
then Nate can
I'm the
step
new
in and
guy.
take
I
over the
shouldn't be
rest of
jumping
the
all up in here. You're right.
For anyone who doesn't know, the Snyder Cut was the original vision of Zack Snyder for Justice League that came out in 2017, but he had to step away because of personal reasons, and the studio replaced him with Joss Whedon, and they did their own 2-hour cut. Well, the fans saw that, and the outcry for Snyder's original vision grew, especially since there was rumors that he had the actual cut, which were fueled when he said, I do have the cut. And for the last 3 years, well, I guess now 4, depending on how you count 2021, the internet was release a Snyder cut, release a Snyder cut, release a Snyder
If we're
cut.
counting 2021, then it should be like 15 years.
Yeah, 2020 was like 10 years. Oh my god. But the final, like, it got greenlit by Warner Brothers at the DC fandom where they announced it, and Zack Snyder was able to have, I believe, Nathan, help me here, $70 million.
Yeah, roughly 70 million just to finish up shots and
Post.
CGI.
Yeah, so 70 million to finish shots, to do CGI. They did do reshoots for 1 day of 3 hours of work, which was the epilogue. So that was it. And what is now only on HBO Max is the Snyder Cut.
Nathan, what did he miss?
He missed the story of Joss Whedon, the one who
Oh.
did go in there and had to fix some stuff there, like, because Snyder had to exit. He had his reasons. They're good reasons, and he had to exit. And the studio wanted their movie because money's been spent. Money's already being spent. So So Whedon jumps in and has to shoot some stuff, has to write some stuff on some stuff, a lot of stuff. But I
180
mean,
pages.
108 pages.
Is that a
Yeah,
lot? Like, relative to what?
relative to the fact that half the script was changed around a lot, and he
Got
cut
it.
a lot of things around that he had to, because he can only follow the script so far. He has to, and he's a creator, so he wants to write his version. This is the guy that made the Avengers. Okay, we're gonna like poo-poo him on his JLA that Justice League to jump in, but He made the Avengers, so this is the guy they trusted to don't do magic, wave magic over the movie and make it great. Was it great? That's up to you. I
No.
love you or no. And so people wanted to see this original Snyder version. And so a lot of it's really started in the shadows. Like I said, you strike from the shadows, and it is a almost grassroots, just from like the Snyder cut, Snyder cut, Snyder cut, Snyder cut, Snyder cut, Snyder cut, and it just kept growing and growing. And and you're right. That's basically where we're at now. Snyder, who was clearly wanted to finish this movie, and you can after you see like the Snyder cut, you see what he wanted to do and how much he really. I can't help but think this movie is really cathartic for him. There's something kind of beautiful in that.
Nathan, I can't let you
Oh
say
yeah,
that Joss
can't.
Whedon stuff, and we not acknowledge the poo-poo-ness that occurred with Whedon showing up on set.
All right,
Warner
so
Brothers,
are we going
yeah.
to go behind the scenes there now? He went in there, made a movie. He made a movie. It's a finished one. It's the length that I would prefer, and I'm going to say that right now to save time on where we're at with Snyder Cut. But all right, but like he did that, he did his version, and there's some great stuff in there, and I'm seeing differences that are missing. That
Mhm.
and a lot of people are feeling very okay. So I can go way off base here on what
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it,
wait. We don't
but
want to
we're
go
gonna go
too
back
far
to it.
off
Yeah,
base.
let me
I'm gonna
stab a flag in the ground right now and
right.
take a second and be at home base. Where are we?
I'm gonna reel you both back in for a sec, and let's start with just the past experience with Justice League, because for me, it's the cartoon that I've seen. It's Young
Mhm.
Justice, but I don't have any comic book knowledge,
Yeah.
and this is definitely based off of a comic book or multiple comic books.
A comic book, yeah, that's
Well,
actually
like you could say
Yeah.
Captain America has been around for freaking ever, but Civil War is clearly based on Civil War, right?
right,
That's a
right.
comic book. So I didn't want to just assume and be wrong. But if I say at least one comic book, I'm definitely right.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
a safe place, Uh,
What knowledge do you guys have going into this movie, TV,
Hmm.
comic book?
oh, Nathan, go
Cole,
first
go
this
ahead.
time. Oh, well, now we're being too gentleman-y. Now we're
Yeah.
being too nice to each other.
Am I supposed to get the fisticuffs going? Am I throwing hands?
No,
What do you
You'll
want me
get
to do?
there.
yeah,
You'll
Oh, we'll
get
get
there.
there. Okay. All right. We're working towards it. All right.
no, I do not want. Oh God. Okay, so for
Alex is the
me,
captain. She said beat you up. I got to do it. Captain said beat you up. Sorry.
oh God, can you imagine? Anyway, she didn't want to mutilate me in your comic. Anyway, for me, I grew up reading DC comics more so than Marvel, but when it comes to saying which individual storylines they're borrowing from, I would I can't tell you exactly issue numbers. I grew up also like Alix watching the animated series Young Justice, and then I'm a giant Snyder fan in terms of the DCEU. Like I've seen all of the DC movies and have defended them to a lot of people who've gotten very angry at me. So that's what I bring to the table for Snyder's cut.
Okay. Well, for me, I come from the other angle where I don't really like a lot of Snyder stuff. I've always appreciated his action. His action bits are top notch. There's no begrudge in that. He knows how to put together a superhero fight,
Mhm.
But some things are missing for me, and it's coming from reading these comics for so long and feeling like a lot of these characters. So, like, to go back, the Justice League, Snyder or Whedon cut, it really comes from a very quick like view of the DC universe. It's you got your big three. That's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and then you got your next three who are kind of interchangeable, unfortunately, but it's kind of in the
Yeah.
comics. The lineups always change. It's really whoever is
Writing
selling
it.
the most comics, moving the most product, getting the most eyeballs. And it's always Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. And then you got Aquaman, who I'm gonna tell you right now, no, he's not really, he's not respected. like
But he
no
should
super,
be.
he should be, and I will defend you on that. You're right, he should be, but he's never gonna be because his power is in the ocean and everything happens on land, and it's always going to be a problem,
But
just story wise.
I mean, I get it, but he has super strength and telekinesis. Like, that doesn't.
Telekinesis, and that didn't really, that kind of goes in and out. That's a power they kind of throw in or don't. It changes a
Yeah,
lot.
depending on who's writing, but it's still super
Yeah.
strength.
Yeah, super strength, but Superman's right there, and in this movie, he clearly shows that he's stronger than everybody
Yeah.
combined. Like, then what are these other guys here? You know, so Aquaman. So they did the smartest thing. They did the smartest thing, and they cast Jason Momoa, and holy crap, man, that changes everything. Like you'll see in the comics, like this is one of those castings that just kind of just retroactively change the character. It's like, you know, Robert Downey Jr. cast as Iron Man. He changed Tony Stark. Tony Stark was a boring
Yep.
rich guy. There was nothing to him. And
I
then
hated Tony Stark.
yeah, there's nothing. Well, how you hate him? There's nothing to hate. He's got nothing. He's white rice. There's nothing. And then Robert Downey Jr. Oh man, you can have feelings about him, opinions, and the same thing for Aquaman. Jason Momoa, you're gonna have an opinion. You're not gonna walk away from Aquaman going like, I guess. Like you're gonna go like, I love him or whatever.
But you know what? Love or hate him, he wasn't a joke.
Yeah, they made sure
Completely
not
agree.
to make him a joke, and that's tricky.
Can
know,
you
when
imagine making him a joke?
Oh,
Just
God.
dealing with him offset? Like, I would be terrified.
I can imagine Snyder trying to write even a scene and just stopping, just going, "What am I doing? Delete." Like, no, he's not gonna be. No, he's Jason Momoa, and then he's Aquaman.
Mhm.
Aquaman's lucky to be Jason Momoa. Is kind of that scenario.
For real. Now
Yeah.
let's flip into the movie a little bit. I'm gonna
Yeah.
separate it. Let's not compare it
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
to the
Always
other
hard to do.
Justice
sometimes.
League.
Yeah.
But what were your feelings on the film itself? And this one, I'm gonna go first
Yeah.
because I already know where Cole stands, and and I feel like people know where I stand. So it'll just leave room for Nate in the middle there.
Say me as the coup de grace.
I absolutely hated it.
Mhm.
And I thought it was boring and unnecessary. And maybe, yes, it was for Snyder catharsis, but like me personally, I don't think I didn't need it. I didn't want it. And
Mhm.
I was cursing Cole's name for 4 hours
Hmm.
Yeah,
for making
nothing's
us do this.
nothing's new.
For this reason, okay.
Okay, so for me, obviously, I did enjoy it. Now, I do say it is an hour too long.
3
I,
hours too long. Continue.
no. It's too long. Some music moments didn't pan out, and you know how much, like as Anthony loves to say on here, I'm a score
You're
guy.
a score guy.
uh, some of the music, some of the music choices made me go like, what? But as a Snyder-verse fan for the DCEU that's no longer existent, even though Warner Brothers acts like, no, see, in Aquaman, Shazam, same universe, get out of here. It just felt like a nice continuation of the book that I already love reading. Instead of like I'm reading this book and then suddenly you throw this Where's Waldo comic book at me, where I'm like, where did this come from? Like, this is fine. This is not what I wanted. Can you explain what happened here? So that's what I stand with the Snyder film, where it felt like it took my hand to the world that I was already used to, and went a little bit longer than I expected, but it's been gone for a while, so it was kind of like that weird, like, well, I'm happy that you're back. Okay, let's hang out.
Yeah, and then you realize this really should have been coffee instead of lunch or dinner.
Well played. I love the analogy. That was really good.
Nate, what about you?
Actually, wow, kind of actually jump onto that analogy. I thought we were hanging out. This turned into a date. No one told me, and I thought we were just gonna spend some time together. And then you made it weird, Snyder. You made it weird. Like, whoa. Like, there is too much. Like this, the main problem with this movie for me was there was too much, and 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 I'm already coming from an angle where Snyder kind of has to earn me in, man. He's already got to kind of woo me over, and I'm not liking a lot of the energy from the movies falling into this.
Nathan,
Like I
where
had
did
problems
Snyder
with
lose you?
Man of Steel. Well,
Oh.
in this one, it's
The hat, the beginning, the very beginning.
Really?
the hat.
What's the first scene? Tell me the first scene. That's where he lost me.
With Superman dying?
With the Wilhelm scream, just kind of over
Ending
and
of
over
it.
again.
Oh my god.
Ah, Ah,
Ah!
ah.
See, okay, so
That went too long, and that like there's a lot of like shaving that would have
Mhm.
really moved the movie along. It trudges too much. There's too much
well,
time where he's like sitting here going like, look at this shot. This is a great shot. This is a really epic shot. You should feel a lot of stuff. I'm trying to make you feel a lot. Like, let me like just move it along, make it a moving picture instead of these
I com-
still lifes a lot
I
of the
completely
times.
agree with you guys. Like this, the movie, the slowing down of scenes, the the showing of every angle of an explosion. I understood what he was going for, and it was I got the green light. I'm throwing everything in because we're never gonna see this ever again. So like I got that. And so like I understood why it was 4 hours, but I would never have wanted to see this in theaters. Now,
Yeah,
that being said, I don't
that is
want this to be 2
100%.
hours.
Yeah,
I 3 hours would have been is like as short as I can imagine cutting it. I can't imagine making this movie 2 hours long.
yeah. Yeah, this yeah, it was I'm going in knowing it's 4 hours, knowing all of that didn't help. And
Oh wow.
if you try to do a full movie, man, I mean, of course you couldn't do 4 hours because the studio's just not going to allow that. They're
Oh,
not,
no
they're
way.
not going to do this 4 hour version. This is a special one that people are, fighting for and wanting it. But I didn't. I wasn't one of those people fighting for it. I was like, I'm good. Let's move on. And then I'm like, all right, I should check this out. And the guy
Mhm,
wanted to finish his story. I can appreciate when an artist is like, wait, no, wait, no, wait, you didn't see it. You didn't see it. This is what I was trying to do it, and I
mhm.
see it, and I saw it for 4 hours. I, I
I I
like
know Alex doesn't
too
want us to
much.
compare the two cuts,
Yeah,
but if Warner Brothers really wanted Joss Whedon, and of all the reports coming out, they were watching Snyder like a hawk for Justice League because they hated Batman v Superman. So since they were giving him so much
as did I.
crap, if what?
As did I.
And that's it's a different movie, different argument.
Yeah.
If they felt this way, then they should never have moved forward with Justice League. They should have stopped at Batman v Superman and then move forward. But Warner Brothers wanted all of this money. They wanted like, oh, they made Avengers, we make Justice League. And it's like I get angry at the Whedon cut, um, mostly because of what the Snyder cut was and what we were robbed of. And if you liked
What did
Batman
you
v
feel
Superman,
like you were robbed of?
oh my
I would
god.
stand up and say the cyborg story,
Cyborg story, Flash
big
it
time.
being an actual hero and not some schmucky kid who trips over his own feet. Um, the continuation of this DCEU world that has been built. Justice League kind of pretends like everything that happened in Batman v Superman didn't occur. Whereas in Snyder's cut, it's like, no, it happened. Also, Batman not making jokes. Whedon has Batman making jokes like he's a sorry, Anthony. Like he's a cartoon character, and at least Snyder was like, no, Ben Affleck, still be your broody self, and that's the Batman that I like. That just stays broody. I don't need Wally West in a batsuit.
Okay, but we also don't need slow motion for 4 hours like
That's
we're in
true.
a high school film
Oh,
class.
Yeah.
IGN, look this up. They timed it. 24 minutes and 7 seconds of Snyder's cut is slow motion. So there you go. It's already
And I
three and
felt
a half
that.
hours.
I felt every second of that.
But
Uh,
it felt like, when they give you a project in a high school class and they
mhm,
say, "Okay, we want you to teach us. You're going to learn slow motion this week. Everybody make a slow motion film." That's how
mhm,
it felt.
right.
With
Well,
every trick he did, any trick he did.
well, like I said, like everyone has been bashing the slow motion and the length, and there's reason to. This movie had no business. So like I watch sport movies. I don't know if you guys watch sports movies. I don't want to assume
Every now and
anything.
then.
Hmm?
Every now and then.
For football, like you don't slow down the entire play because then it doesn't look as impressive. You got to keep real action and you slow motion maybe like going for the touchdown. But the speed of the game is what makes it look like amazing and
Well, it's
slowing
use
that
of
down.
emphasis. And when you emphasize every single thing, then nothing
Yeah.
has that real
It's like
standout moment.
it's like what Syndrome said. If everyone's super, then no one
No
is.
one is. Yeah. And that's and, there's issues with it of like Snyder's cut that I did like There's a lot more. There's a lot more character work. Which
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you right now has always been kind of a problem for me with Snyder, and it felt like this version really had that kind of like, hey, here's Cyborg, here's his deal. He's actually important. Like, I know you don't think so,
Hmm.
but he is, and they show it, and it's like that was very good
And
because
Steppenwolf
it.
too.
Yeah. When it comes to the villain, I don't hold too much. I don't hold it either Weed nor Snyder. Like Steppenwolf is not an interesting character. It's just he's not. Even with this fleshed out, it's just like so he just wants to kill people really bad for his dad. It's like, oh, all right. It's
Yeah,
like
but
okay.
But
It's
Nathan, you have to
I
agree. At least in the Snyder cut, his justification made more sense as opposed to his mother thing. Like mother,
I mean, does
mother.
it? Like, I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing about having those main villains. Like, just step it 3 more steps. How is that any more explainable? I want to kill them all because my dad doesn't like me because I
No, no, he
messed up.
wants to go back home. He's banished.
He's banished, but we never see why he's banished.
Well,
They,
do you want more of this movie? It's
no,
already 4 hours long.
it is too long, and that's the thing. I'm like going like, so it's 4 hours long, and I still don't know more about Steppenwolf other than he's sad.
Well, it's
Like, I don't like. That's
this is
not good.
Yet
this is
again, it's another villain
Yeah,
that I don't
yeah.
like and I don't care about and I don't feel bad for.
Mhm.
And there's no emotional draw
Yeah.
to it.
But then if I say Loki, what's your feelings?
Okay, that's not fair because
Why is that not fair? He came from two
Marvel
movies.
always does a better job of telling
Yes.
stories than Warner Brothers. And I'm not saying DC, I'm saying Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Because Marvel is like, we're going to tell a story. Here it is laid out. We have one vision. Everyone we bring in is under this one vision. Whereas Warner Brothers is like, dang, they make
Yeah.
so much money. I want money.
Yeah, and that is a problem that is coming through all the DC movies is that it's Warner Brothers wants a shortcut. They want to get
Mhm.
right there, just give them money and don't spend the time. And it's like, well, you pay that price when when no one really cares about the characters because there's no time.
Mhm.
And then they have 4 hours, and I'm like, I care more, but not a lot.
Yeah, like Justice League could have been 2 hours. I would have given you could have made this movie 2 hours if we didn't have to explain
Reminder,
Cyborg.
they did.
They did,
Oh.
they did,
But
yeah,
then you didn't get explanation of Cyborg, Flash, or Steppenwolf. It was
You're
just,
right.
hey, here they are.
yeah,
But that's not a good
It's like
thing.
Cyborg should have had his own movie.
yeah,
Yes.
Flash should have had his own movie.
yeah.
Yes.
Or I don't know, maybe they could have had their own TV shows that tied into the movies.
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
Oh, so
Marvel
you're not
after
liking the DC shows?
no, it's not that I'm not liking the DC. Well, I didn't like Gotham, but that doesn't matter. The
Well,
Yeah,
thing
Gotham
is,
was
terrible.
awful.
Marvel took 10 years to get used to this. I don't trust Warner Brothers to do that. Like the Arrowverse was fine, but the problem with the Arrowverse was it went on for too long because
Agreed.
they didn't know. Oh, I was not ready for that. Was-
They all started. Well, I never watched Supergirl, and I haven't watched Catwoman, but I can say Flash and Arrow.
Batwoman,
And what was the third one?
Batwoman.
No, I didn't watch Batwoman.
no, it's not Catwoman. It's Batwoman.
I
Yeah,
know I
and
didn't watch Batwoman.
I know, but there is no Catwoman show. And
Yeah.
then
I
there's
got it. I was just
oh.
kind of. Oh yeah, I didn't watch that one.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Flowing.
Agree. Acknowledgement? Yes. Good.
Yeah, that.
Um,
It was Arrow, Flash, and one more.
Legends of
Crisis?
Tomorrow.
Oh yeah. See, I didn't
Yeah.
watch any of those beyond a few seasons, but
Yeah.
the beginnings were good. They had something, and so I feel like if they had taken those shows and then taken the character out of those shows, put them in the movies, that would have taken the story where they needed it to, and then they could have gone back to the shows or tied it in, kind of like anime does, where it's like a movie that affects it but doesn't affect it.
Oh yeah.
No, I
You
don't
know
like.
what I mean?
I know what you're talking about. I don't like that
But
because
how
as
is
a
what they did better?
no. I'm not saying what they did is better. As a viewer, as a fan, I like when everything is connected, especially with its characters. Animes that do that was because my only experience with that is Dragon Ball Z. I haven't watched any of the My Hero movies yet, but when you show these like situations and then it doesn't matter, I get confused, and then I'm like, well, that happened already. So
Well,
if
yeah,
you would have
because they
done that
don't release them in time.
right. So like if you would
Yeah.
have done that with DC movies, I would have been bugged. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying personally, I'm not a fan of that.
I think it works if they release it in time. Because, like, by the time we get the My Hero movies here, it's already had to have gone from sub to dubbed,
Hmm.
which My Hero was weird because they actually did it before the stuff that came out. But anyway,
Yeah.
point being, I think there's a way to tie it in or to do it better. But when you look at this, where I think DC and Marvel are very reversed. Because I think Marvel had a great idea with their shows and then they kind of flubbed it. But their movies are fantastic. They're fixing their shows now. I understand that. But when you look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. compared to what they're putting out now, you could
Hmm.
see a huge difference in the knowledge and growth that they've from where they were to where they've come.
Well, and the money.
That too. But when you look at DC, DC was already on the right track with the shows. They had it. It was
Yeah.
right there.
Built some fan base and like everything was ready to go and people knew the
Mhm.
characters.
They knew the characters. They knew. I mean, why could you not just take Stephen Amell, Amal, whatever, however you say his name, and pop him right on the television screen, and people would have followed. And you already
Mhm.
had a universe, and you already had a backstory, so you didn't have to spend. Oh, here we go again. Here's the intro
Yeah.
again. You didn't have to waste
Mhm.
your time, and they
I
had that in the palm of their hands.
And that's a problem they have with a lot of DC stuff is that origin drain where you're sitting there trying to learn these
Oh yeah.
characters and it's like, okay, but we kind of already know them. Where's the point where you meet us halfway and speed this up?
I swear to God, if I
And
see one more Wayne family member die, I'm gonna scream.
That's how I
that's what
feel
they're there
about the
for.
Joker.
Him just showing up.
Also, how I feel about the Solos and the Skywalkers, but that's a whole
I
different
know
conversation.
That's a long one too.
the the for me the thing is, and I'm gonna go with what Nathan said earlier about um
Me being right? Yes. Very
no
good.
no 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 hey
Oh,
I'm meeting you halfway here, sir. I am meeting you halfway.
you are right. You're right. I
Um
apologize.
Snyder made the DC superheroes edgy and more godlike, who were like, I don't know how to be a human. And what we are used to is all the superheroes kind of being more like what they are in Marvel, where they're trying to adjust to their powers, but they're human first. And I appreciate everything Snyder did. As everyone knows, Henry Cavill is my favorite Superman, and I love
Wow.
the Ben Affleck Batman. But I would like Batman's the only one you can do grudgy. I didn't realize how much I missed happy-go-lucky Superman until Joss Whedon gave it back to us. And then we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the Superman Lois and Clark series.
Yeah.
I I I forgot how much I appreciated happy-go-lucky Superman, who was kind of naive to the world, and it's just like, why can't we all work together? Like, I kind of miss that. And I'm gonna say this, and please don't go crazy with it, but I feel like Snyder doesn't understand the soul of the DC heroes, and he had an idea of what he wanted to do instead.
Well, it's that whole tricky spot. Like, as soon as Batman is popular, they then go like, "Oh, everyone should be Batman. It should be Bat Superman, Bat Aquaman, Bat
Yeah.
Flash, Bat," and they just never learn the lessons. Like, nuance is how you tell a story. Like, Batman's story is Batman's story. His whole energy is Batman's energy. It's special because of that.
Mhm.
Like as we saw in Shazam, I enjoyed Shazam, and it really
Oof.
followed Shazam's
I
energy, which is not Batman.
yeah.
It'd
Oof.
be weird if we had Billy running around going like, "I have to stop these criminals at all costs." Shazam! Swear to me, Shazam! You go like, you'd be like, "Come on!" You like, there's nuance. Superman is not supposed to be Batman, and like Snyder is more comfortable with the Batman story. He always wanted to tell that more. He just got the
Mhm.
Superman at first. If he got the Batman story, I think there might maybe some more stuff. At least the story he could tell of that. Well, Superman, he was trying to tell like a Batman story, and it's just like, no, it's just don't force that. Like,
I,
just don't
I,
force it for a guy who grows up in a happy place in Kansas.
yeah.
He's gonna be a well-centered dude. He's got both his parents, they love him. Why
Mhm.
would he be all like, I can't connect to humans, but you spent your whole life connecting them, man. And like some of the things about Snyder is one of my biggest problems is Jonathan Kent. I think Jonathan Kent was a character he wasn't getting. He was making him into
Yeah.
this paranoid, scared man, which is like, sure, for a Batman story, that's Jonathan Kent, sure. But for Superman story, like
No.
it's just these little nuances of character that Snyder gets caught in this big, I gotta tell this bad dark story. It's like, no, man,
Sorry,
you don't
Anthony.
have to do that.
Yeah, you can't say that
Oh,
word.
You have to say
Can't say.
Um,
sorry. Ah, you gotta
go
give her sorry, Anthony.
Sorry, Anthony.
No, you gotta do it Batman
well done.
style.
Oh, sorry, Anthony.
Hey, there we go. The weird thing about Snyder for me is he has adopted kids. And he was super excited to the Superman story because Superman's the closest thing to an adopted superhero.
Yeah, he's the
And
story of the immigrant, which is beautiful.
yeah, and you're just looking at him going, did did you make your kids feel like they could like that's not how it is. And you're
Yeah.
just really confused why he decided to go with that take. Now, like I said, my favorite Superman, I really appreciate and connected, but I didn't realize how much I missed um the Superman that we're all used to until I saw it again with the Whedon cut and then
Yeah.
Lois and Clark super like to say to the point of DC TV getting it done. That Superman on
Yeah.
Lois and Clark. Oh my god.
Yeah.
He's so he just makes me smile. I mean, he's very handsome, but like
Yeah.
he's just yeah.
So where do you think this is gonna take us? Now that we have this 4-hour movie of torture, where where do
Well,
you
it's
think
Hey,
like
we're gonna go from
I enjoyed it. I know I've been
I
saying a lot
think
of negative stuff, but I enjoyed the Snyder cut.
I think that one of the things that the Snyder cut would only exist. It was not going to exist in any other time than during the pandemic. That's it's the only confluence of some weird events, world events. Like like before,
Well,
the Snyder cut didn't happen until now because now is the time you can sit around and think about something and stew over it and go like, well, we can't make a lot of new movies, but what do we got? Well, we got
well,
people talk about the Snyder cut. Oh, okay. And so there
Nathan.
might be some revisiting of like stuff that kind of sat around and needed a little more love or something.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I think Alex was talking about like the moving on from here on out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like in here,
Oh snap!
movie making has changed a lot right now because of COVID. And Snyder Cut exists because there's 90%, like 80% of a movie, and people are clamoring enough for it, so they threw some $70 million at it because it was already mostly shot. And so
Mhm.
Which,
that kind of
for
like
the
goes like,
record,
what are things? Sorry, yeah,
can I just say that's really frustrating because $70
yeah.
million could have fixed the first one. Um, but
The
I guess my question is more, where do we think the characters and the story, are we gonna return to
Hmm.
Snyderverse? Are they gonna
so
touch to television? Like, where do you think we're
so
gonna
this
go
is
Yeah,
from here?
oh
yeah, it's a tricky one. Go ahead,
okay.
Cole.
So I this is what I think is gonna happen, and it's I basically thought Warner from what Warner Bros. Has said of we're gonna try and create a universe that all fans are connected to, and I just got angry at that. Because all I'm hearing is they want money, and going with that mindset, what we're going to most likely get is Flashpoint is going to rewrite the DCEU, but it is going to ignore Aquaman, is going to ignore Harley Quinn, is going to ignore Suicide Squad, and Shazam, but it will acknowledge Superman and Batman. I don't think we're going to get a Superman recasting, but I wouldn't be surprised, just because of the Snyder tales. But I really think moving forward, they're going to try and keep the world that Zack Snyder created and then have directors and writers be more positive and colorful, as what we've seen in Aquaman, Shazam, and unfortunately, Wonder Woman 1984. Now, I don't know if it's going to be good, but I think after Flashpoint, we'll have one storyline that will be easier for everyone to follow instead of this freaking multiverse of worlds that they're just doing because they want to make Batman movies, but they don't want to be part of a universe because they don't want to think too hard.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of that. I'm agreeing a lot of that. It's like here's where we're at now with just superhero movies as a genre, has has an existing like movie franchises. Only like maybe James Bond has gone as long as or longer than this stuff. Like what a lot of them, I think a lot of comics are gonna do. They're gonna steal a lot of movie like the movie DC movies and stuff. They're gonna take from the comic books because comic books have been around since Alex early mentioned since for friggin' ever. And what happened is that they had a huge universe that was ungainly, and they had like They tried a whole bunch of characters, it didn't quite work. So they literally killed them off until it was the most popular characters. And that's what the comic books did. So
Mhm.
that's what the movies are gonna do. Who's popular right now? Jason Momoa. Like, why are we gonna get rid of him? He's awesome, and he already made a movie leading to a next one. It was popular, so they're gonna start hitting all the popular ones and keep them. You'll even saw it in Suicide Squad. They got rid of just about everyone in there except for Harley Quinn, who everyone loves.
Mhm.
And like, when I say everyone, I'm not saying all of you. I'm saying there's a big fan base,
Yeah.
and we are looking at like DC is looking like, all right, what are the things that worked? And if they're a business, they're gonna go like, all right, these things worked. People like pancakes, people like bacon, people like eggs. They didn't like our tofu turkey. They didn't like this thing. So we're throwing everything at the wall. And what's working right now is that Snyder Cut is reinvigorated, but hasn't really guaranteed that the Snyder universe is going to keep going, at least in the version it is. That I think is going to change down to the most things that work the most.
Mhm.
And I mean they hired James Gunn immediately to do a movie for them. So they're taking all their notes from Marvel. They're
I
going,
just don't.
what worked? Take time, tell these stories,
Mhm.
have creators with vision. And I will say, Snyder has vision. Do I agree with it all the time? No, but he has vision, and they want to take like some. They're going to take some shots with the guys, the visionaries, the ones that really are going to go in there and go like, let me tell you the absolute best Justice League International story. And they're gonna, I mean, they
Oh
might
my God,
start trying
JLI?
them. They,
JLI?
yeah, man.
Dang.
Like,
Do you
I
guys
imagine
think they would
that would
benefit
inject some Marvel energy.
from just like the whole, if they scrapped pretty much all the movies, literally all of them, they could keep casting, who cares? Because it's
Hmm.
not every time a movie comes out, they just change their mind on whether it counts or doesn't count
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
But
Spider Man, they cast him 1,000 times. They cast Hulk 3 times. They
right.
cast freaking War Machine between 2 movies.
Do
It's
you
like,
think they would benefit from just scrapping and saying, "Hey, we're gonna do the fif- and pick
I
up
Yep.
there,
just like, oh, clean up, just clean slate, start from zero.
clean slate, start
Uh,
from zero with like very clear
oh,
which comic books they're following."
oh yeah.
Oh.
Um, it's trick. I mean, the entire comic industry is kind of a mess right now of
I
just
mean,
like
it is,
who's
but
reading it, you know?
Marvel benefits from very clear. You know exactly. I mentioned it before, but you know exactly what comic book they're coming off of. They're
Yeah.
they're doing Civil War. Okay, cool. Oh, they're doing Thanos. I love this story. Okay, cool. Justice League and all the other movies are kind of hodgepodgey of, well, they did this kind of in the 50s or 60s. Well, they kind of did this over here. Instead of if they started with, hey, we're going to do the new 52, or hey, they're going to do this one thing, and a very clean series to follow.
Marvel's editor team and having Kevin Feige having a clear like everything works together kind of thing,
Mhm.
because every Marvel movie is a hodgepodge of Marvel storylines. No, nothing is
Like
clearly
all the
just
eras.
this. They're all
Yeah.
they're all the eras, and they just go like, all right, these things work together. Like a villain they can use is not the same villain he was at the beginning in the
Hydra wasn't
comics.
what Hydra we used.
Oh,
Hydra was
Hydra got
communist.
changed a lot. Well,
Um, yeah, they weren't they like the Russia, and then Hydra was not
well,
Hydra.
Hydra
The
is
Nazis were
always
the Nazis.
well, Hydra was just always the bad guy, and whoever was bad in that era. Remember, comics books have been around longer than us,
Oh, that's
and so
right.
they were Nazis were bad, and then the commies were bad, and then like whatever was bad, and then it's like that's the magic of the comic books is that you
But
make the villain whoever is scary right now. Like you'll notice Captain America went from fighting Nazis to fighting terrorists. There's you can see those eras, the specific things. What are you scared of? And that's the thing that becomes that kind of thing. Like Darkseid
mhm.
was a weird character when he started. He was kind of this kind of weird, quirky thing, and then he's become what he is now. And Thanos, in his first appearance in comics, he got arrested by the police.
Yeah, it was
Like,
pretty funny.
it's
The
pretty funny. And you go like, from that guy became the guy who snapped half the life of existence. And it's like, again, I mean, like the movies and the comics, man, they pick and choose what they want. And like even Marvel's better at it, I think, for streamlining. And like DC gets a little messy.
Yeah, no. So Nathan, I honestly think, um, what's gonna save DC, going back to Alex's question,
Yeah,
is just have one person with vision. Like I feel like, and you can't change your mind. You can't be like, you're gonna be in charge of the DCEU. Three
yeah.
movies bomb, you're fired, but we're gonna keep moving forward. No, you gotta also wait with that. have these movies come out. Because remember, Marvel didn't have Kevin Feige in the beginning. It was originally Joss Whedon. And then,
Kevin Feige was kind of from the beginning. Joss Whedon didn't get hired until the Avengers.
I thought Kevin Feige didn't have his power until like Winter
Oh, he
Soldier.
needed to have power, sure, but
Oh.
but you see, they trusted him. Like DC needs to have one person, trust him enough. It's a lot of money, but Iron Man 2008, that was nobody. Robert Downey Jr. was a former drug addict. Those like things
Yeah.
those are big. It's risk, and Hollywood doesn't like risk. That's why you see so many reboots and so many sequels.
Yeah.
And that's why like comic books, you go like, oh, cool, no risk, because there is already a fan base built in, right? And DC thought that, and made Green Lantern, and then made other movies that weren't that great, and make things that kind of just keep stumbling. And there's just a difference. And actually, Cole made a good point. I don't know who's the idea person for DC. We could say Snyder, but that's not 100% true either. But you say Marvel, Feige immediately. He's the guy who gets the blame and the cred. And I don't know if DC has that or is comfortable to do it.
If Marvel freaked out every time a movie didn't do well, we would have had no direction after Incredible Hulk.
No.
Like you have to accept that some movies aren't going to do as well, but if you have the ability to stick with it and you have this overall theme, you'll have people crying and cheering in Infinity War and Endgame. Those two movies are only as good as they are because of the emotional connection of the last 10 years.
Gives it time and trust.
Yeah, Alix didn't care about the snap. I will never forget leaving the theater and she's like, they'll be back. And I'm like, what?
I wasn't wrong.
But it doesn't change that everyone was just shocked.
I had friends. Oh my god, I had one friend at work who was just kind of like, I can never forgive them for that. I'm like, you know, there's a second movie, there's next movie's coming out. I can't forgive them. It's like, well, okay.
And I was legit the polar opposite, where I was like, well, we know there's a second movie.
Yeah, there's a second one.
You know they're coming back. So why do we care?
Yeah, JPG and I in tears, in emotional tears, and then Alix like eating her popcorn, going,
"Huh?
What's wrong with you
guys?"
The
next one's coming out in a few years, right?
Look, if this was Grey's Anatomy,
you guys know it's not real, right?
but there's shows that kill off characters, right?
Yeah,
right.
Like on Grey's Anatomy, you know they kill characters, and so when something happens, you're like, okay, this could actually happen. They might actually be gone. It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But in this, it was like, well, you know,
yeah.
The suspension of disbelief is kind of gone because, like, already told me.
But you don't have to be emotionally devastated to enjoy the movie, right? You enjoyed the movie, right?
I enjoyed the movie.
It did what it was supposed to do. Only fanboys like me and Cole and Jason, had to crawl in the bed and kind of, and just think about life.
Oh man, but Alix.
But these are characters I've been around with since I was, since before I could think. Okay. I knew before you could make cognitive thoughts about anything. I knew these characters.
We're gonna have to wrap this up soon because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But I have to put this out here really, really fast, based on what you just said, Nate.
Yeah.
At any point in Snyder Cut or original Whedon Cut, were you ever concerned or worried for the character?
Oh, in neither cut, I was never concerned. I knew they would be fine. That's
Mm-hmm.
And even taking in that I've loved these characters for forever, I was not concerned.
Cole, what about you?
I was never concerned. The Whedon Cut hit my nostalgia chords in moments, and I will stand. I mean, I'm still angry at the Whedon Cut for what we didn't get. But the Whedon Cut does hit the nostalgia hard with bringing in
John Williams.
Was it John Williams?
John Williams or Horn or
for the Snyder Cut, for the Whedon Cut. He did the Batman movies, Superman movies.
Oh, Danny Elfman.
Yeah, so thank you. So they nostalgia chords with Danny Elfman playing the classic hits behind these heroes. And the Superman fighting all the Justice League members in the Whedon Cut was a lot funnier than the Snyder Cut. But the Snyder Cut also was, like, it made more sense and the way Wonder Woman was in the Snyder cut was so much better than the Whedon cut. Like, I was never. I'm sorry to be going on and on and on. I was never worried about the characters, but I cared more about them in the
Right.
Snyder cut.
There was more care, but there was never risk. And I think that's something that even though I knew there was no risk because the movie was coming back and whatever, but in all the Marvel movies, I feel like you feel risk.
Yeah, you get caught in the moment better. Like the Marvel movies and the Snyder one, it was so long. I wasn't. It's no moments felt like real risk. You just felt like, oh, this is a tense half hour. It's like,
Yeah,
and
it was awkward. It was tense. It wasn't risky.
Yeah.
I never felt awkward about it. Now, I did feel like it went on for too long, but there was never moments where I was like, well, that's weird.
Oh my God, I can't tell you how many times I checked something and I was like, how am I not in the next part yet?
Well, that's time. That's not weird. That's just like, oh my God.
Okay, so to wrap it up, would you recommend this for somebody else to watch? Nate?
I would not.
I would also
Because I know
not.
people's endurance. Oh, sorry, I totally
No.
stepped over yours.
No, you're fine. I would also not because I don't think there's anything to gain from it, Cole.
As much as I love the Snyder Cut, I agree. There is no reason to have someone watch this if they've never seen any DC movie. This is not the first one that I put on, like, welcome to DC! This is the one I put on where you're a fan, I've hooked you, you're now in this. Now, it's like Lord of the Rings extended cut. I'm not going to make you watch the extended cut first, but once I know you like it, there's more. Extending hands to the
somebody
TV.
likes something, you want to punish them?
No. Because if you like if you like Man of Steel, if you like Batman v Superman, you're going to love the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, this is definitely for the Snyder Cut fans.
Yeah, this is a 96% Tomato fan rating because only Snyder fans watched it.
Repeatedly.
Yeah, Cole watched it twice.
I did.
How did you watch it? You had 8 hours? Like 8 hours?
I'm furloughed. So
Nathan,
I'm currently furloughed. I
Still.
watched it when it first came out because I knew everyone knows I love the DC movies. That if I didn't watch it when it first comes out, I was in trouble. And then that was 2 weeks ago. So I was like, I need to
the obligation watch.
Well, it's also just remind myself.
Stay on brand watch.
Yeah, I've also rewatched the Justice League, the Whedon cut, so I can compare the two. So I did my homework for this week.
Yeah, you hate yourself. I got it. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this one to an end.
I think that's a good choice, Kevin.
Guiding your next pop culture journey, this has been an episode of Inquests of Geeks, Tavern Team Edition.
Please check out our weekly Dungeon Dive and Tavern Team episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and heck, any other podcatchers. And make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe.
If you'd like even more adventures with us, our bi-weekly actual play RPG is in the same feed under Issues, where you can listen to us play as teen superheroes using the Masks A New Generation system.
Please follow us on social media at Inquest of Geek, and don't forget to subscribe to our weekly Twitch streams at twitch.tv/Inquest of Geek.
As we bring this adventure to a close, here's what you can expect from our next episode.
Amazon's original animated series based off off an Image comic written by Robert Kirkman. Invincible! That's what we're doing next week! The TV show. I know it looks good! It looks
it looks like it's gory.
It is gory, which is also awesome.
I'm so unhappy.
Woo! The voice cast of this looks amazing! I cannot wait to watch this. I have been counting down to be able to watch this. And it's weekly episodes. But
the first 3 are up right now.
Yeah!
Well, thank you again for listening, brave questers. And remember, use what you've learned today to build better character.